Okay, so you are the first guest that I've ever had that has Emmys and GLAAD awards and just all around style, panache, whatever. Can you walk me through the life cycle of winning an Emmy or GLAAD award? But specifically, I used to say if I didn't have an Emmy by the time I was 25, I would kill myself. I've since learned to love myself without awards, but I think it's pretty cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And listen, I can only speak for myself, but again, where I am today was totally not the plan. It's totally unexpected. Did not plan on working at network television or in social media at all. You know, I first got my first TV gig as a PA after folding clothes at Lacoste for about a year or so, and working the fashion gigs when they were in season, and doing wedding photography and photography gigs here and there. And because of that PA job, got a job at CNN, and that my hours at CNN, my shift was midnight to 9 a.m. That was the gig for about 3 years. And because of that tough schedule, there was, pretty high turnover, and I ended up staying. I really did. That was probably one of my favorite jobs, minus the hours, but it was just the people and that experience there. And then I ended up working as a result of that experience at GMA and doing what I'm doing now. But for me, it has always been about taking experience from the past, repackaging it in a way that I'm able to use all of my experiences now, and not ignoring any of my skills or experiences. So when I go into a big event or a feature product that we're working on, or you could say Oscars coming up, or we have a big cast interview or something, I can bring in my photography skills and writing skills. And I've been in a position in the past where I am like my own unit, and I'm able to turn an interview and photograph a cast and write the cast or write the story for that segment, and then also produce the segment if I need to, right? And in terms of award winning, I would just say, I mean, it is crazy, but the Emmy Awards are for our team awards from Good Morning America. So we won Best Morning Show 2 years in a row in the time that I've been here, used to. But I will say, as a producer first, there is a huge difference from interview to interview that's fully dependent on the interviewer, for sure. So if you just are just starting out like we did, just chilling, hanging out, having a conversation, that goes a long way. I think that if you want to win an award of any sort, just take your time to put yourself out there and do the research on what those award parameters are for whatever they might be, and to keep trying. The GLAAD award that I got was an honor for me from a couple passion projects. It was about the reporting on the gays can't give blood in the US because of this very old federal policy that I did a really extensive investigation on. And I didn't do that report with getting an award in mind. So it was really, you don't really think about what comes after. For myself, I really just went after what people needed to know in terms of that reporting and being able to tell all sides of the story in a way that drove change and provoked thought.
I mean, I think that specific story is such a clear example of pure journalism, right? Because it's something that I was not aware of. I think most people did not know that gay men cannot donate blood in America. And there's this huge pandemic. This gentleman wants to donate blood. They say, "You're sorry, no." And I had no idea. And then I also reading that they say you have to be absent for a year before. What the heck? What about heterosexual couples that do all kinds of kinky stuff? That's absurd.
I know. it all comes down to stigma. And all
Totally.
these rules around gay men. Just a quick recap with you. All of these rules around gays not being able to give blood really stem from the 80s with the HIV epidemic, when testing wasn't really available and the testing capacity wasn't really good for HIV. And they just so from the 80s through 2015, there was an all-out ban. So gay men could not give blood at all, period, in the US. And in 2015, they updated that policy to say you can be gay and give blood as long as you haven't had sex with another man for a year. So you have to be abstinent for a year, and
What
then
are you,
you
a
become
priest?
eligible.
Priest probably with the most sex, but that's for another podcast.
Truly. But then in 2020, in the throes of the pandemic, they reduced that from 12 months to 3 months. But here's the issue. As you mentioned, anyone can just like go out and give blood no matter how many partners they've been with, unless you have had sex with other men. So basically gay or bisexual men. And it's on the questionnaire when you give blood, it literally says, have you had sex with another man? And if you mark yes, then you become ineligible to give blood unless you haven't had sex for 3 days or 3 days. If you haven't had sex for 3 months, excuse me. But what it comes down to,
Jesus.
what it comes down to, it's kind of open discrimination, really.
Yeah,
because
100%.
this includes monogamous men, men who are married and do not have multiple partners. The simple fact that they have sex with another man, period, negates them from giving blood. When their heterosexual counterparts can go and have multiple partners in one night and go give blood tomorrow.
Right.
And HIV data that we have from 2019 shows that almost a quarter of HIV positive tests in 2019 came from heterosexual people. So the data is there, and the FDA, I report on this also in the past few months, the FDA has funded this program to get data themselves to move away from time-based restrictions and to move into risk-based restrictions.
Right, because what about drug use? They haven't even considered
Absolutely,
that.
there's all of this there. But my question to the FDA, which remains unanswered, is what kind of science do you need to offset open discrimination? Like, if someone, it's just how do you weigh that? Where is it, science or is it logic that if I'm married to a man,
right,
have one partner, I'm not at risk for HIV, but my heterosexual counterpart could very much be at risk because of his or her lifestyle, but they can go and give blood right now. So there's a lot of issues there. And my question to the FDA that remains unanswered is it logic or is it science? So we'll just have to see how this plays out. But this is sort of my beat now, especially since I've been honored with the GLAAD Awards. I feel like I can't let go of that story.
Okay, so in August, you published a very personal, very moving essay disclosing your HIV status, that you've been living with privately for 8 years, and that journey. And it went viral. It was in People, it was in The Sun, like you're all over the Times, all over the place. So I was hoping you could talk a little bit about your decision to become public with that and how your life's changed since then.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, right? To think that, that was just in August, and my life has definitely changed for the better. And I don't know, to be a producer, also, it's still so crazy to have to be out front and on the other side of the camera. It's still difficult. It just shows myself that that's maybe not my natural habitat, which is okay.
Come on, you're camera ready 24/7. Who are you kidding?
There are people who are naturals at it, right? But I feel like I've had to really reassess what my message is. today and right now, and even in the days and weeks following my essay coming out, because I was really focused on just writing the essay and getting it out, delivering it. And as you mentioned, it was something that it's an experience that I've been battling for 8 years that was really hard for me. And the pandemic, where everything kind of shut down, it was that environment of loss that really kind of shook me. I mean, in the most literal forms, right? We've had loss of our social lives, loss of our routines, an actual loss of life for a lot of people and surrounding people. So I got to a place to where I was really faced with myself, and I realized I had a lot of things I had tucked away and swept under the rug and just did not deal with. And being at home alone for many days in 2020 really provided the time for me to really check in genuinely with myself. And then with that environment of loss I was talking about, I just felt it was really unfair for me to be so sad and so ashamed when I'm living a perfectly fine and healthy life. And so many other people didn't get the chance to. And here I am sulking for quite literally no reason. And it took that time at the beginning of COVID to kind of shake myself out of it. And being in the position that I am as a reporter, as a journalist now, as a producer, really as a creator as well, someone who's over the years created and built a bit of a platform, not even on purpose, but I really felt like if I was going to quote, come clean with my story and my experience, I really wanted to do it in a way that was less about getting attention for it, but really about planting a flag on what the science and the facts are about HIV and what my experience has been. Everything from experiencing like off-color jokes with friends to just bad dating experiences, all of that, because you hear about your Billy Porters and your JVNs, and they've written books, and they obviously are your A-listers, your celebrities that are coming out with their stories. But what I feel like you don't hear a lot of is really day-to-day experiences that made living really, really hard. And I wanted to share that with everybody. And my superpower of that is the power of the pen, which I didn't really consider myself a writer until really the past couple years. And the response has really just been overwhelmingly amazing.
I know we're further in the journey of letting go of the stigma around this, but I am a recovering addict, and there is some stigma where people are like, oh, you're trash, like, oh, you're not reliable, oh, you're like not dateable, right? And it's painful, and for years when I was dating, I wouldn't tell people, and then it would always end badly. So it's just it's so brave when like what you said about your story is your superpower. That's what they tell you in recovery too. They're like, it's actually your best asset. Whatever happens, that's actually your best asset.
Absolutely. Because to quote RuPaul, if you don't love yourself, how the hell is anyone else going to love you?
Totally.